Hey, what's going on, guys? Ty, Bench Clear Media. I hope you're having an amazing Christmas week, time with your family and friends. I know for me, just sitting back, enjoying time with the kids and wife and family has been outstanding, and I hope it's been the same for you. I also just want to thank you for a great year, supporting Bench Clear, liking, commenting, everything that goes into content. I realize there's so much content out there, and that your time is valuable and you choose to watch some of our stuff. So I wanted to thank you for that. Hopefully we can continue putting out good stuff for you in 2022, making it worth your time. So I wanted to tell you about a tip that I received, and I think it's the best tip that I've heard from a legitimate sports card collector in the past year. And I've seen lots and lots of collections, and when I go see these collections, I'm looking at things to buy, but I'm also just looking at information to gather, learn from people, learn from collectors and folks that have been in the hobby for a long time, so that I can take little tips away, use them for myself, and share them to you. But we'll put out a video soon about this particular collection buy, but I wanted to share with you a tip that he gave me. And I know right now in the modern card world, especially for folks that are coming into the hobby for the first time, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I know Josh Luber put that one article out, the 95-page article just about the state of the market, and he talked about really just the number of parallels and really just the confusion that's been added to players and the cards to collect, and it's just you get spread so thin. Like trying to pick the cards that are going to be valuable, it's like trying to nail jelly to a wall, right? It's nearly impossible to do. And as a collector, as a sports card investor, whatever your approach may be, it leaves you kind of burnt out. And that's just kind of the way modern cards are. And so talking to this guy was super helpful because I was there buying what he would call as the noise in his collection, the cards that weren't a part of his process. And so when he said that, I thought, okay, now I got to figure out what this process is. And so I asked him, I said, okay, you've been doing this for 20 plus years and you've obviously done really well, because he told me that he basically created a self-sustaining model for money going in and out of the hobby. And this is what he told me. He said about 25 years ago, he started a simple strategy, and that was he picked the top 2 players in each sport. And those are a little bit subjective, right? The top player for you might not be the top player for somebody else, but he picked his top 2 players in each sport every year going into a season. So heading into March, he picks his top 2 baseball rookies or baseball players, and heading into, August, he picks his top 2 football players and so on. And he goes all in on those 2 players. He goes as deep and as wide as his wallet will allow, with the intent of holding those players for at least 5 years before he sells. And he does that because he's done the math and he realized that if he hits 25% of those and they turn into MVP caliber players, perennial all-star type players, that it will economically pay off for him to essentially sell out those cards in 5 or 6 years or later, if it takes a little bit longer, and use that money to self-fund the next year of purchases, and also use that money to fund his PC, his collection. And so he started doing that, and he focused on 2 players, and he got everything he possibly could of those players. He went deep, he graded players, cards of those players, so on and so forth. And over the course of the last 20 years, he said he's exceeded that 25% hit rate of MVP, perennial all-star type players. And when he sells those players off 5 or 6 years later, it's allowed him to self-fund his entire way of collecting and turn legitimately tens of thousands of dollars of profit each and every year. So when he said that, I thought, okay, that is about as simple of a strategy as you could possibly have. And in this day and age, it's like a breath of fresh air. As you think about 2021 or just 2022 heading into it and what your strategies might want to be, maybe you pull back and you say, you know what, I'm going to pick 1 or 2 players and I'm just going to focus on them, even if it's not a player that you love. Maybe it's not a player that you want to collect long-term, but it's a player you believe in as a way to help fund everything else in your collection. Because I've always said I'm not necessarily a sports card investor, I'm more of a sports card collector that likes to collect profitably. And I think this is a great way to do it. I thought this was a fantastic tip I think any one of us can use. So I'd love to know, first off, is that a strategy you use? And second, is that practical for you? Do you think that's helpful? Because I took a lot of notes in that conversation, and it's something I'm going to start interjecting into my strategies in 2022. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I hope that helps, and have an unbelievable time with family and friends this Christmas.